How to Make a Killing 2026. This is a black comedy thriller. It's loosely inspired on a British film from 1949 I hadn't even heard of before. It's called Kind Hearts and Coronets. And in the development of this film, it had several names before it got its current name, which was a year or two ago. I went to a preview screening because it isn't being released here until the 11th of March, but it was one of the unlimited Cineworld film previews, and it starts off with the protagonist on death row. Uh, Glenn Powell plays Beckett Redfellow, and Grady Wilson plays the younger Beckett. We get to find out his backstory first, that his mother dies young. She's been cast out of inheritance. So, um, the strange thing, one of the things I didn't particularly like about it is that on her deathbed, she asks her son, promise me you'll fight for the right life, the life that you deserve to have," that kind of thing. And it's like, um, she's been removed from inheritance, so she wants him to pursue that goal of getting the inheritance. I suppose she wants the best for him, but I suppose it's when you hear of his plan, when he talks about his plan, which is pruning the branches of the family tree, because there's 7 people. He calls them unpleasant names, but there are 7 people who are going to inherit the money before he gets his chance. I don't know. It's like this sort of will that's been um, that he um, can't be removed from, but all these other people will be in front of him. Of course, if you dispatch people, um, if you kill them, then um, you become ineligible anyway. I would think, but that's not really the implausibility of it. There's quite a bit to it, and it's a bit complicated. I mean, one of the characters is Julia Steinway, and she's a childhood friend of Beckett. Um, so we meet when they're kids, they're friends. I mean, Beckett falls in love with her, but as adults, um, he confides about his plan that he is wanting to get the money, and of course well, I don't mean of course, because not everyone's gonna be impressed by, "Oh, you're gonna, like, get through the family tree so you get the money." It's just like, no. Well, some people would be like that, some people are intrigued by that, but this is complicated, and it's more, um, I mean, he finds it quite easy killing I mean, you get to see the first couple of deaths, well, certainly the first one, because that's pretty dramatic. It's on a boat, and he ties a rope to someone who's, um, one of the, um, wealthy sons who he doesn't think are deserving. is lying semi-unconscious on a boat deck, and he ties a rope to his foot and the other end to an anchor, and the anchor sort of semi-accidentally goes into the water, and whilst the rope unravels, as you see in the trailer, um, the guy goes, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Beckett," and just before he gets pulled into the water. And I was thinking, you could actually probably get out of that. Well, maybe you can't, but there's all these sort of possibilities. So I'm sort of thinking about those and then getting back into the storyline, because at one point or so, quite early on, the FBI start to get interested. I mean, getting through 7 people, I mean, him having hubris and thinking, "Oh, I'm quite good at this." Um, hmm, it's all a bit, it's yuck. I don't like it. I mean, the assumption is that people want money, and it is all like, "Oh, yeah," like, in the poster, you see these 7 family tree members, and they're born mainly in the 90s, 80s, 70s, perhaps, um, late 60s, and he's, like, just going through them, um, killing, well, not necessarily, I won't say what, I mean, because you see some of the deaths, I mean, he actually gets on with one of the people. Um, there's also there's other complications, there's a love triangle, so there's vengeance, there's a whole avarice of inheritance. There's him telling the story of his tragedy to a priest because he's in death row, and some bits I thought, I'm not sure about this. I felt frustrated, let's put it that way. Um, the implausibility, I think it does sort of come right in some respect. It does seem to make sense, but um, I think the best thing is what he says right at the end of the film. That is something to take note if you're actually delighting in what happens early on, I would say. I mean, there were a few people in the audience laughing a bit, and I thought, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to think that I'm taking moral high ground, but I just don't. I mean, there's this point in the film also that he says, oh, someone asks him, "I'm pointing a gun at your head. What would you do with £1 million?" And he says, "Why are you pointing a gun at my head?" And that makes sense. I mean, if surely the question should be, what would you do with £1 million? What's the gun got to do with it? Except if it's to hurry you up about spending 1 billion. But billions are a lot of money. And surely no one needs £1 billion, one individual. And it isn't necessarily £1 billion, I don't think. And the actual money, I mean, there's money, there's millions, there's the thing about money is, he says at the start, Beckett says, people say money doesn't buy happiness, but that's not true because it does. Sure, but money brings you headaches as well. I mean, the security, people want money, and how do you trust people if you've got lots of money? But there's probably a reasonable amount of money to keep you going for the rest of your life. Um, there's a lottery thing, I think, in this country called Set for Life, where you can win something like, I can't remember what the amount is, maybe 10,000, no, 30,000 a year for 30 years. And that between that would be just brilliant because it's not a huge amount of money. You just have that sort of money to spend for 30 years. I wouldn't mind that. I'd be quite happy with that. You know, no worries about paying rent, no worries about buying food, or possibly if there's a major cost of living crisis and inflation eats into the money completely. But having money as security to just um, live, to, to be able to pay for everything you need in life because life isn't free. That I totally get, and it's how much above that is fair. And I guess, I mean, but I think that's more or less a million, isn't it? 30,000 times 30 years. That would really help. You'd probably have a bit of money to set aside to make sure that after the 30 years, if you're young, you could sustain it. You know, that sort of money could keep you going into your retirement, and then you don't perhaps don't need to worry if you put aside money for retirement, and you wouldn't need to work. So, you know, you could just enjoy life, and that would be brilliant. But that's 1 million. So what? Why £1 billion is just way? That's 1,000 million, way over what any one individual really needs. I think once you got to that level, you could have fun distributing it, you know, charities, projects, helping improve other people's lives, um, building projects, environmental projects. Well, you know, that's the sort of thing that would interest me. Um, and human rights stuff, things that would help other people. Um, and so the people, you know, it's like someone recently was um, talking. I think it was the person who might become a trillionaire was talking about how they're miserable. I'm not going to say their name, but um, you think, well, surely just giving away all the excess money, employing people you trust, if you trust anyone, to find out decent projects that match up with um, things that will actually really help people, then surely that's what counts. Anyway, I guess that is a distraction. I think the whole thing about excessive money is a wind up, and yet I don't really, I can't see. I mean, someone did explain that, like the trust thing is perhaps the most difficult thing. If you don't trust anyone, then how would you pass the money on? But there are ways. I mean, I think if you've somehow got into that sort of money, you you'd know the people um, who you trusted before you had that money, or you wouldn't even reveal that you had that money, and then you'd find out you'd still be sure with trust levels that it isn't down to um, avarice that is controlling people's behaviour. So anyway, that's a sort of aside. I mean, there's like Beckett gets into finance and the whole thing about talking of Ireland and about power and abuse of power. It's all the sort of things that are largely what is causing the problems in the world right now. The inequality. If there was much better distribution of money across the world, if people actually felt secure and actually, and this is people across the whole world, but even just say I'm in the UK, just helping to reduce the inequality in this country, that would be a start. I don't know. That's what I feel. And so this whole thing about the fantasy of one person dispatching relatives to an inheritance, it's kind of and getting the glamour and everything, and then dealing with the problems. Well, I don't know. I just find it. I found it an interesting film to watch. The acting was fine. I can't see any problems with the acting. Um, and the story, I mean, the way it was held over, the final message did make sense. Mm, I'm wondering, what do I give this film? Probably 7.5, because it wasn't that bad a film. I think I will have to see that 1949 film just to compare it. But um, the assumption is either made that the audience are lapping it up simply because we're all fantasizing about having huge amounts of money and anything goes in terms of getting it. Mm, no, don't don't really don't really like that sort of thing. But it was entertaining film, I guess. It's right in the middle of films that get a score in the positive side. So 5 to over 5 and scores up to 9.5 are 9.75. Good films. I haven't ever scored a film 10 out of 10 yet, but 7.5 is halfway through that. Um, so I'll give it that. I'd like to know what you think. Um, Thanks for watching. Um, Thanks if you like this film review, please hit the like. Thanks if you subscribe. Please hit the notification button. What film would? Hmm. I think other films that are similar, perhaps a bit different. I haven't made a review of Wolf of Wall Street. That's a really long film. It's kind of funny, funnier than this, I think. Bit of a dark comedy. I think I will review that very soon. So um, I'll put a link in when I've reviewed that, so you can see that after this film. But um, mm, yeah, that's it. I think thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.